Welcome to Giants Nation. I'm your host, Bobby Skinner, here with my co-host, the Football Grump. We got ourselves a Giants-49ers preview. It's week 9. It's the 2-6 New York Giants hosting the 5-3 San Francisco 49ers. Legacy game. After the great Giants-49ers rivalry back in the day. Speaking of, the Giants back in the day, Carl Banks is fighting Dexter Lawrence, kind of, not really. Dexter Lawrence was clapping back. And there's going to be a negative playing this week, but there just might be a positive playing too. Grump, how are we doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Tomorrow's Halloween, or I guess when everybody's listening to this, today is Halloween, which means that a bunch of candy everywhere. So for dinner so far, I've had sour Skittles, which is an underrated candy. Um, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling jazzed up. I'm feeling sugary, ready to talk about this. And this is a sweet rivalry. This one goes back to my childhood. I would say as big as a rivalry as the Cowboys for quite a while. Um, and they kind of both seem to be good and bad at the same time. They're like on that same wavelength for the most part, other than like the last couple of years. So this is cool, and I love the legacy game. I think it's one of the coolest thing that the Giants do. They changed the soundtrack to like an all 80s soundtrack. It's not just like the uniforms, it's not just the field, it's the whole vibe entering the stadium. So this is one of the coolest thing that the Giants do.
Yeah, unfortunately, they play like it's the 70s legacy. All right, let's get into this whole preview pod. First episode is brought to you by some special people. We got Alexander Bauer. Wow. Who is that pitcher who everyone hates? Not related. Eric Chu. He's got he went skydiving. He went Rocky Mountain climbing. He went 2.7 seconds on a dude named Eric Chu. Makoa Resentes, not Makoto's, Makoa. And then Kevin McGovern. Kevin McGovern, the state of New Jersey. He's going to be governor. Grump, who are these special governors?
Kevin McGovern is not Connor McGovern's brother. But these people are the
Actually, he
people who
is.
Oh, okay. So these people are the people who power this show. They went to patreon.com/Giants Nation, where they subscribed for one of two tiers where they could receive stickers in the mail from you, Bobby Skinner. They get entered into a monthly free t-shirt raffle, and they also get access to hang out during these recordings with us while they're being recorded, and they get crucial weekly game tape breakdowns that you do after each game only on Patreon. You'll be glad you did.
Be glad you did. Before we get into this full preview of the game, I do want to talk a little about Dexter Lawrence and Carl Banks. Um, because that's what this season is right now. So for a little bit of context, Carl Banks, the former New York Giants player, now he's on the radio and he works for the New York Giants, basically called out Dexter Lawrence and clipped up, from his show, calling him out and basically said teams don't respect you anymore. They don't respect you. So Dexter Lawrence, was asked about it, because that's coming from somebody within the building. And Dexter Lawrence, basically says, I don't respect his opinion. He's delusional, basically saying, like, I do get respected. I get double teamed a ton, which he does. He gets double teamed the most in the NFL. But the reality is, Dex is not playing at the same level that he has had the last 3 years. Um, a whole lot of drama in the New York Giants land. Everyone's got a theory on everything. But, like, the reality is Dexter Lawrence isn't playing up to Dexter Lawrence's level. He is still respected, so Carl Banks was wrong in that point, but it feels like a week where it's like, "All right, Dexter Lawrence, like, maybe this does light a fire in your ass and you just totally dominate the 49ers."
Yeah, I mean, the the idea that Dexter Lawrence isn't being respected, his response was like, just look at it. Like I'm being double teamed every single play. It's like that whole point I think is just ludicrous. That is kind of delusional to say that teams don't respect him anymore, especially since he's a year removed from like a ridiculous start to the season where he had like 9 sacks last year in something like 12 games. Um
It
so
was a dumb point by Carl.
yeah, I mean that's really not true. But everything else, all the criticism is valid. Like we went over this in the mailbag pod in a little bit more detail. So if you are really interested by this topic and didn't watch that, maybe rewind to that. But there's a ton of reasons why he's not getting. There's a ton of hypothetical reasons why he's not getting the production that he's getting. And it's not just, statistics, right? Like you watch the film and he is just not dominating anything. He was dominating entire games last year. He hasn't dominated a single quarter this year. And it's possible that this is like a light a fire under his ass sort of moment. Um, I don't really know if that's going to happen, but the criticism is absolutely valid. The idea that he's not being respected by teams, I think, is very silly.
Yeah, and again, everyone's got a theory on it. Some are like, "Oh, well, Giants put Carl Banks up to it." I don't think that's true, even though, again, I think sometimes that happens indirectly. And then the other's like, "Oh, Carl Banks is running cover for Shane Bowen." Like, so everyone's got a theory. My theory is Banks can't come on and just say all is well after a matchup like that. So, like, Carl, as a former great player, is gonna call out like, "Hey, let me call out the great player on this team who's not playing up to his standard." Um, and part of that is like, you know, the fact is this coaching staff doesn't do that with their great players. They don't hold their best players accountable. They let them slide because they know if they lose them and if they take it the wrong way, that could mean, lack of respect from everybody in the locker room or, leading to them get fired, whatever. So like, and I'd say it's a critique I've had since last year, right? Like, I remember Carl Banks specifically as well said, called out the coaching staff. Don't be afraid to coach your best players. Malik Neighbors was not taking practice or the details as serious as the Giants wanted to. They were upset about it, but they still didn't do anything about it. They let him do whatever he wanted and just complained about it, behind closed doors, instead of going and addressing it to him. Um, so I think it was just kind of Carl Banks like, hey, you know what? I'm not gonna come on here and talk about the whole state of the team and if the defensive coordinator is refired or, the lack of talent on the roster, but I'm also not gonna just, blame this all on Darius Mozow and Tyler Nubin. Like, Dexter Lawrence has to play better, which is true, right? Like, Dexter Lawrence has not been a bad player this year, as much as people wanna say that. But the reality is I do cut-ups of film and, the last 3 years there's a third of the games I could put together, like, the craziest cut up that will go viral of Dexter Lawrence. Right now, a cut up of Dexter Lawrence will be like, "Yeah, this is a good player," but people are gonna be like, Why isn't this better than what it is?"
Yeah, I mean, I think too much is being focused on the one throwaway line that Carl Banks had an otherwise good point. And yeah, I mean, Carl Banks is not the most articulate person in the world. Yeah, just listen to his radio broadcast, but he's not wrong. Like he's not a stupid guy, and the criticism is all valid. So, yeah, I mean, too much attention is being spent on the one line that teams don't respect him anymore. That's just not true. Everything else is correct, and we've been calling for it on the. We've been asking like, is this the game that Dexter Lawrence shows up? He hasn't really shown up yet in terms of who Dexter Lawrence is, as opposed to just
Mm.
a good defensive tackle.
So, Grump, is this the game that Dexter Lawrence has a Dexter Lawrence type of game?
I mean, if we're going to start talking about the Giants on defense and the Niners on offense, I think that it's a possibility, right? Like the matchup is there. They have a backup center in Matt Hennessy likely playing. Um, and just overall, the offensive line for the Niners is just not good all over, up and down the line. It's not good. So I mean, it's certainly there for him. It's up to him if
Yeah.
he's going to take it.
Yeah, I mean, their left guard is a 7th-round rookie out of Iowa, where I guess if I had a 7th-round rookie playing an offensive line, that's where I'd want to come from. Uh, but yeah, let's get into this 49ers offense versus the Giants defense overall. But I that's my thing is like, hopefully this motivates Dexter Lawrence because I think that's what Carl Banks wanted to do was motivate Dexter Lawrence. Not because he got sent on a mission to do it, but just because, he's like, I'm a great player. I was a great player. Let me call out another great player. Um, Whatever. Let's talk about the 49ers offense versus the Giants defense. The 49ers offense is not how you would have guessed it. If you said that they were, 5-3 and playing with a backup quarterback. And the difficult part of this is we don't know if Brock Purdy is playing. I'm a little disappointed in the 49ers reporters by not figuring it out by now. Pretty damn embarrassing to not know who they're playing to have a quarterback. But whatever. The same gripe with the Jets reporters last week. You should be able to figure it out by now. But they have the 26th scoring offense in the NFL. They're second in passing yard per game, and they're 30th in rushing yards per game. So, like, who would have guessed that for the 5-3 49ers? Um, so since we don't know fully who's at quarterback, we can talk about, like, what their passing style is and what they do. I don't think it changes a ton with the different quarterbacks. The biggest difference is Brock Purdy likes to create, where Mac Jones doesn't. But let's start with Christian McCaffrey. He's second in the NFL in scrimmage yards. He's 13th in rushing yards, but he's 8th in receiving. Like, their running back is higher up in the receiving ranks in the NFL than he is rushing, and he's getting more carries than anybody in the NFL. So they're not finding much success in the run game. He's 39th to 43 in yards per carry of 3.5. But receiving wise, they're using him a ton, right? They'll flex him out and let him run routes. They'll give him choice routes out of the backfield. They'll have their deep end breakers behind that to make the defense pick. Um, and the reality is that a Kyle Shanahan offense likes to run outside the tackles where the Giants have been terribly weak. This could be a game like the Falcons game a couple weeks ago where McCaffrey does have the rushing success. George Kittle being back is a huge difference for their running game too, with his blocking. And McCaffrey's going to get the touches no matter what. He's gotten 17.5 carries per game. They haven't had the explosives, but this Giants defense specializes in giving up the explosives. So they have not been a good running team, but that does not I don't think that stops any of us from worrying about the run defense in this game.
No, absolutely not. And this is going to be the same story as playing against Saquon Barkley and the Eagles. Saquon Barkley was having a very ho-hum year, and the first game that they played him, they shut down that running game. They started scoring points, and the Eagles became very one-dimensional. That doesn't mean anything. Two games later, and Saquon Barkley rips off the first run of the game for 65 yards and a touchdown. This team stinks at defending the run, so there is no amount of taking your foot off the gas if you're defending the run. They have to stop the run first and foremost. And I say that because I hate to sound like super stereotypical where it's like stop the run, and then everything happens up. But like that is the truth here. I don't care if Brock Purdy or Mac Jones is at quarterback. We'll get into their differences and how they want to throw the ball. But just in general, this is a terrible offensive line. Their right tackle, McKivitz, is really bad. Really bad. Burns and Carter should be working him every single play. Trent Williams on the left side is clearly starting to show his age. He's still really good, but he's noticeably getting slower. Just worse in general. Dominic Puny at right guard's okay. Just okay. We already went over left guard, has been pretty terrible as a pass blocker. Center is hurt. This offensive line is horrendous, and Mac Jones is super immobile. So if they can get them to be one-dimensional, the passing game could be an absolute disaster for the Niners because the absolute strength of this Giants team, Dexter Lawrence being dominant or not, has been the pass rush. So they have to shut down that run game. And we saw just last week that there is no guarantees of anything with stopping the run game, even if they've already done it before. McCaffrey is an incredibly talented player. He can generate when there's nothing there. He has just this ability to teleport left to right. And the thing that's really going to burn them is if they do get in that situation where they've got the Niners dropping back to pass more often than they would like to, they have to watch out for the screen game because that's where McCaffrey does generate a ton of his yards. You have a bad offensive line. It's easy to just start teeing off and flying past people that it begins to be hard to tell if the offensive line is still really bad or if they're just letting you get by so they can block downfield. So McCaffrey is front and center the number one concern for this offense.
Yeah, like for with the run game part of Christian McCaffrey, like, you know what? Like, your defensive tackles have to be playing quick, flowing with the play. And Dexter Lawrence, like, I know he's the hot topic, but like he needs to dominate. He needs to dominate. And from a schematic point, you need to be trying to funnel them back inside, which again does not make me feel, oh, if we just funnel them inside, they'll be good. But you cannot let them just get out on the corners, right? Because our DBs are terrible in run defense. Forget the fact that all of our DBs are injured as well, too. Like our defensive backs outside of Drew Phillips are terrible in run defense. And our defensive ends, as much as they rush the passer, they have not been great edge setters. So like there has to be a focus on those guys. Like, hey, you need to seal off the edge. You need to funnel it back inside. And then when they do funnel it back inside, Dexter Lawrence has to be dominating and winning, right? Dominant reps, not good reps, dominant reps. And then the other defensive tackle needs to be flowing to the play where they're not able to just cut off of what Dexter Lawrence is doing because they will do that and they will gash you in the run game. Like you said, I do not care about their lack of rushing success. It has not stopped them from trying to run the ball. A reminder, Christian McCaffrey, who is 8th in the entire NFL in receiving, is averaging over 17 carries per game. That's a lot. That's a lot, a lot, a lot. So they're not gonna quit on it. They're not gonna get away from it even if it doesn't have success, and that's where the explosives come in the Giants. So it's gotta be all 11 focus, but trying to funnel it back in, and I hate to say it, but there's no I'm not expecting great run defense. Limit the bad ones to 10, 15 yards. I know it sounds crazy, and Shane Bowen said the other week, and it was like, "What?" But seriously, limit the big ones to 10, 15 yards because that's the 49ers, their longest rush of the year is 19 yards, and it wasn't even by Christian McCaffrey. So, as much as their offensive line isn't good, they are athletic, right? They allow them to run the way that they want to do. All those interior guys are athletic, and the outside guys as well too. So the passing game, I do feel like this needs to be a little bit of more of a zone game, even though that plays into, Kyle Shanahan, right? He calls zone beater plays. But the issue is, how can you justify playing man covers against Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle? Like, are you going to bring Javon Holland down into the box and have him playing man on Kittle a ton? Are you going to trust Tyler Nubin to play man? And then are you going to have the linebackers playing man coverage on Christian McCaffrey, right? You can't put a safety on the running back because then you're putting a linebacker on George Kittle. So the Giants have went away from running so much man the last 3 weeks. I think that has to continue in this game, even though Kyle Shanahan likes throwing against zone and their receivers aren't good to win against man, but also the Giants are without a Debo Flott and hell, even Art Green. Like the second Deontay Banks is going to start, you could be having Jarek Bernard Converse. Do you know who that is? Well, he might be starting a corner. Could be Corey Black. Yeah, he wasn't on this team 8 days ago, even though he was drafted by the Giants. And do you guys remember Rico Payton when they waiver claims? Might get activated. So like as much as Jawan Jennings and Kendrick Bourne are not outside receivers that threaten you a ton, I think they'll win against our corners this week.
Yeah, I mean, whether it's obviously, I think that they will mix and match a little zone and man, but mostly zone. Regardless, I think that they need to get into a situation where they can rush just for not really need to blitz too much because I think they can win that way. Obviously, that doesn't mean, you know, straight away just rushing four. But more often than not, if you want to show a bunch of guys at the line of scrimmage and rush an exotic four and drop Brian Burns into coverage, into a zone coverage, that's fine. If you mix things up. But in all honesty, this offensive line is so bad that they really can just match up and go, or they should be able to just match up and go. Drop as many guys into zone as possible and let them collapse the pocket. If it's Brock Purdy, it's going to be a little bit more difficult because he throws a lot more in rhythm than Mac Jones.
Creates
And
more too.
he creates a lot more. Whereas Mac Jones he just crumbles sometimes. Like he'll just go down to his knees. So collapse the pocket on him, and that's going to be the name of the game. Drop as many guys into coverage as possible because the injuries, you're punching above your weight right away with the injuries that they have.
And I don't trust any of our guys to win one-on-one with Trent Williams. I really don't. Like, not even Brian Burns can get a win. But I think Trent Williams will win that matchup more times than not. Like, that's where you said, like, drop a guy back, do that, but also stunt at that side, right?
Stunt at that side.
That's where they're getting pressure. The 49ers are also a team that doesn't change their protections at the line of scrimmage. That's a whole debate, talking about like the McVay tree and Shanahan tree is the Shanahan tree. They don't change their protections at the line. So that's where you can stunt and send some blitz looks at them and get aggressive and try and take advantage of a young, poor interior group. And then, like I said, McKivitz isn't great either. So, like, that's where you got to get. But here's the thing: is they love those in cutting routes, man. They live off of them. They'll even throw two in cut routes that are the exact same route mirrored in. You don't see like anybody do that, which is dangerous. And they've thrown 9 interceptions in 8 games, partly due to that. But like, it also makes it very hard because, like, if you're a defender in conflict, how do you defend that, right? Like, you move one way, they throw the other in cut. Like, the way to beat that is really good man coverage, and we don't expect the Giants to be able to do that. So like they'll test you, but so like the linebackers, safeties, like you've got to figure out what they're running and flow with it because if you're just standing there, they're gonna whiz it past your ear. For linebacker, they're gonna whiz it past your ear, and safety, they're gonna put it underneath you. So like you've got to get aggressive with your pass rush when you're in that grump, like we said, with like some of the more blitzing, stunts, you have to get aggressive and you have to win because if you just let either of these quarterbacks sit back there, they're going to find the holes in your zone coverage.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know that you have to blitz against this offensive line, but you should be showing blitz looks and possibly rushing from unorthodox ways. Like I said, drop Burns into coverage and have a slot corner come in off the edge or something like that. And occasionally, obviously, don't just do one thing. Be multiple in your looks. Show different looks at the line of scrimmage. Change post snap. It's not something that they do a ton of, but it's been changing week after week lately. Um, you know, it's bizarre to say this, but the middle of the field is actually where the Giants are at a strength coverage-wise because it's the boundaries where they have basically practice squad players playing, which is sad because one of those is Deonte Banks. But, that's where they're weakest just in terms of experience, in terms of reps and in terms of talent. Where they're a little bit stronger is possibly in the middle with Bobby Okereke, Tyler Nubin, Javon Holland. Drew Phillips are a little bit better. So, um, yeah, dropping guys into coverage into zone over the middle, I think is gonna help. This could be the time where we see Tyler Nubin get interceptions. Like you said, it's incredibly dangerous to throw those over the middle, get a lot of tip passes, and the Giants have been good at this too. When they haven't gotten to the quarterback is getting their hands up and getting passes tipped, right? So those throws over the middle, that's where turnovers happen, and that's where turnovers need to happen. They need turnovers in games like this.
Yeah, they've been kind of elite at having the defensive linemen get their hands on passes. Um, so they're gonna throw a lot of misdirection at you as well. That's obviously a key part of a Kyle Shanahan offense. They motion 72% of the time. Some of it's just simply moving Kyle Juszczyk. They don't play action as much as you would think, but they play action early in the game. And they basically want to see how disciplined or aggressive you're gonna be with your backside defensive end chasing their zone runs. And if you are aggressive, they're gonna send someone out into the flat. And if they're not, they're gonna start wanting to run some more of those outside zones more. So the reality is we are untalented on defense right now with the injuries the Giants have. Right, Holland should be back. Adebo not like they're untalented. The 49ers with their, aren't overly talented on offense, even though they do have a nice trio of McCaffrey, Kittle, and Trent Williams. And I trust their backup receivers of Bourne and Jennings to win. So it's need the front four to dominate, right? We could say that on every damn preview pod this year, but like that's the way to have an opportunity against this offense.
Yeah, and we don't think that Ricky Pearsall is going to play, right?
No,
Like,
he's a DNP both
yeah,
practices. So
yeah. He would have been a problem, I would think, but
yeah, yep. We interviewed Ricky Pearsall. Remember, it was our
dude,
first interview of that year.
Senior Bowl guy.
He said it was
Florida
cold as hell. He was like, "What? How you doing?" He's like, "Cold as hell, man." You were a big Ricky Pearsall guy. He was
Yeah,
like Florida.
it was one of those things where he transferred to Florida to I guess get more exposure from Arizona State, and Florida just stunk. So he was somebody that I thought was getting underrated because he's a really good route runner.
Yep. All right, let's talk the Giants offense versus the 49ers defense. So Malik Neighbors has been gone. Now no Cam Scattaboo. It seems like Ray McLeod um, is going to be active and maybe even part of the starting group based off of some of the reports. Daniel Bellinger did not practice 2 days in a row with a neck injury, so probably won't go. Let me ask you this. Will we see more 11 personnel, 3 wide receivers with Ray McLeod, or 2 tight end personnel with either Fedoni or Manhurts being the number 2 guy to Theo Johnson?
I think we're gonna see more 11 personnel. And part of that is due to the injury to Bellinger. I think also Manhurts had like an illness. I think part of that has to do with Scattaboo not playing. Um, it I don't know. It is a good question, right? It really could go either way. But if I had to put my money down, it would be on more 11 personnel in this game.
and it'd be a nice little tendency changer, right? It's a Ray Ray McLeod revenge game because Fondoni had a nice preseason. That's wonderful, but Manhertz is not a receiving threat at all. Fondoni would be, but I think that would be the way to go against this 49ers. And I'll say within the run game, and I guess we could talk about that first before we get to Jackson Dart in the passing game, where we don't have anything crazy to tell you, and their pass defense is very un like not afraid of their passing defense. Um, Tyrone Tracy is now the lead back again. I think you gotta get. They ran a ton of shotgun with Cam Scattaboo and all that, but I think you got to get a little more zone read heavy with Tyrone Tracy, right? And there's two reasons for that. Is one, that allows his speed to become more of a threat when you keep that backside defensive end honest, but also it allows you to have your left tackle Andrew Thomas do what Chris Hubbard did well last year. And you're like, I didn't expect to hear Hubbard on this podcast. But hey, take that backside defensive tackle and squeeze him, right? Squeeze him and give Tyrone Tracy an ability to cut back and use his speed. That's when he was his best for the Giants last year in that stretch of averaging 85 rushing yards per game. And if they get aggressive to try and stop it, well, Jackson Dart's got the ability to keep it, right? Like, as much as they've used Jackson Dart's legs, it hasn't been a lot of zone read. I think part of that was because Cam Scattaboo's lack of speed. I really think that was a little bit of a part of that. So as Tracy gets it back, that's where Tracy was his best last year. I would hope to see some zone read against this 49ers defense, and just in general as Tracy is now the lead back again.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think that we're gonna see some zone read in this game. I think that's the way to do it. They have sprinkled it in here and there, but it seems to be like part of a longer game of like setting up something later or whatever. Um, I mean, Tyrone Tracy has to step up in this game. They've been feeding off of the run game. You know, he might be a little bit more in the screen game as well, something that pops. Um, but, yeah, I mean, I think that this is gonna be attacking with speed. I think that they'll be able to like, so Tyrone Tracy, I think, has a little bit better vision than Cam Scattaboo too. I think that he can see the gaps open up as they go, and he has the speed to burst through them before they close, which this is not a very good run blocking unit. So the faster you can get through them before they close, the more likely you're gonna get something out of it. So
And here's another thing is, like, the Giants' run game since Jackson Dart and really Cam Scatterwood as well has taken over has been good. When you add Jackson Dart's rushing ability to it. I think they're top 5 or whatever. Um, the offensive line has gotten a little better with Thomas out there, but Cam Scatteroo has added yards, right? Like, it's not just breaking the cool broken tackles, it's taking a 2-yard run and turning into a 4 or 5-yard run. And even then it hasn't been overly efficient, right? He was barely averaging 4 yards per carry. Tracy's not gonna do that,
Mhm.
right? He's not gonna play that way. So don't call the game like like he's gonna do that type of stuff, because we will very quickly go into a bad running game if you just think this is just fill in Tracy for Cam Scatteroo who play the same way. We'll very quickly just average 1.9 yards per carry. So you've got to call this run game differently with Tyrone Tracy as your back. And there's some other Tracy stuff I might say for the later in the show, unless you plan to steal it. Um, but we'll see. We'll have some other conversations on him. But overall, the 49ers defense, they're 8th in points per game, which is good, but they're 22nd in yards allowed, 22nd in passing yards, 15th in rushing yards, but they're 8th in red zone defense. Their passing defense is disciplined, but it's and
You can say it.
hopefully
You can say it.
this isn't the this will be the game where it happens. There's nothing to be afraid of, right? Like, on the back end, their DBs are not very good. They have 1 interception and 9 sacks in 8 games, which makes them 31st in both categories. Like, and they're missing, Bryce Huff, who's been their best pass rusher. They just traded for Keon White. I don't like their guys are injured. Yator Gross-Matos, who sucks, is injured too. Like, they don't blitz, so they don't, like, make up for it with that. They play zone coverage. They're very disciplined in it, right? Guys don't switch sides, so they know what they're doing, and they keep everything in front of them. But, like, there's nothing to be afraid of with this defense. It's just you do have to have some patience to you with it.
The Niners are really brutally injured, man. I know the Giants are too. These two teams are probably the poster children for just unlucky injuries to the most important players, right? Nick Bosa not being able to play is a huge deal, just like Malik Neighbors not being able to play. Bryce Huff isn't playing. Yetur Gross-Matos, like you said, all these guys are not playing. It's a bunch of no names up there, and they don't blitz to they don't really blitz to offset the fact that they cannot generate pressure with 4 guys. What little pressure they will be able to generate, Jackson Dart has been excellent at extending plays, making guys miss. His pocket feel, his pocket presence, his movement, it's all been like way above expectations for a rookie quarterback. And it's not just scrambling mad, it's just general, intuitive feel. He's
Yeah.
going to be able to create with that. What they do well, and they do blitz from time to time, but if it's me as a defensive coordinator, I'm not even going to try and blitz Jackson Dart. I'm not. There's no rookie in him that's like, oh, he just doesn't get the blitz. He can't handle the pressure. Like he throws right at hots. He finds that he's very good against the blitz. What the Niners do a lot of and do well is they change their looks post snap a lot. They love to gather guys up at the line of scrimmage, and they'll bring 4 from unorthodox positions, but like it's just difficult to tell what 4 are coming at any given time because they've got like 6 guys at the line of scrimmage. Occasionally they bring 5. So it's going to be a lot on Jackson Dart to identify stuff pre-snap and then diagnose post-snap what's got to get done. But otherwise, like you said, I am not really scared. Like their boundary corners are okay, but their linebackers are all beat up. They're not very good in coverage at all. So the middle of the field is wide open because the safeties aren't very good in coverage either. So this could be. It's a shame that Daniel Bellinger is probably not going to play because the middle of the field should be wide open.
Yeah, and they like to stunt a ton, and that's where I wanna talk about is because like, they're not gonna be bringing a ton of pressure. They don't blitz. They like to sit back in zone coverage. But one thing they do is they try to keep the quarterback in front of them, and part of this is the names, right? Like, but the most quarterback rushing yards they've given up in a game is Kyler with 37 rushing yards, and teams. I think it's just part of the Giants are going to face that they've got the last couple weeks is quote unquote cage rushing, where the defensive lineman has like, hey, let's try and create a cage, right? Like yeah, you may not get that pass rush you win, but let's not let him run up the field on us. Um, and I think they're going to play it that way. But like, I mean, the names, so we'll go through the names. So it's not just, oh, they don't give up quarterback rushing yards in order. Darnold, 14. Spencer Rattler, 14. Kyler, 37. Trevor Lawrence, 7. Matthew Stafford, 0. Baker, 14. Michael Penix, 6. And then CJ Stroud last week with 30. So again, they've been facing probably no one's faced a group of 8 more immobile quarterbacks in the NFL to start their season. But the point remains, like, Kyler didn't have, like, his big game against them, so they want and that's where I would say if there's one critique I had from Dart last week is, like, sometimes the backside read was there, and Dart didn't take it, but also Dable really hasn't put the backside read there for Dart to, there, right? He kinda is like, "Alright, we're gonna flood the zone. If it's not there, create, don't be afraid to create." So, like the Chargers their zone coverage, like you're going to send 3, 4 guys to one side. They're going to send guys with you, right? You're not going to get a wide open shot in the intermediate like you did the last couple weeks. But they're going to want to keep the quarterback in front of it. So what is the perfect thing against that? You get an in-cut route on the backside. That should be there. This is a game where I would be putting a little bit more on Jackson Dart's plate and being like, hey, I like that you create. The last 2 weeks, teams have stopped you from creating with rushing yards. You've been able to make plays with your legs and extend to throw the ball, but you don't have to be afraid of this pass rush. Check the backside of the passing concept. And this there, don't be afraid to throw an interception, right? Don't be afraid. They only have one. Um, so that is something that I would be emphasizing the Jackson Dart. Like, hey, we're putting a little bit more on your plate and emphasize this because that can be there. Because if they're not gonna let the quarterback rush, then that play will be there. The Chargers game was his first game, but, like, they had that backside crosser a lot, and Jackson Dart never threw it because their middle linebacker would carry it, and that let Jackson Dart have all those rushing yards. I don't think the 49ers are gonna play it that way, um, you got anything else? We uh, as before we bring on Danny King?
No, I mean, I guess the last thing is that, the Niners are averaging less than 19 points per game on offense. Giants have been doing good to score more than that, and I'm really not too worried about this defense. Like you said, like if they just hang tight in the passing game, I think the running game will open up a little bit later. They just have to keep the pedal to the metal. They can score more than 19 points. I think that that's possible.
Yeah, and I understand the Giants are 2-6, and obviously people aren't as interested in hearing the details of what the 49ers are good at right now, right? It's just the reality. This is that time of the year for the Giants. Um, but this is not a team that you should be going in if like where it's like, oh, they're just gonna walk all over us. That's a very real possibility. There's a reason that they're favored to win this game. They should be favored to win this game. But if this happens, like that's just a bad sign for the rest of the year if the 49ers come in and walk on this Giants team because they're capable of it, but it shouldn't happen. It should not happen. And you can't use the injuries as an excuse this week because the 49ers are more injured than you are. Um, and that's a fact, Jack. All right, let's take a freaking break and then we'll bring on Danny King. All right, we now welcome on Danny King for weather. Danny, I don't know what the weather report is. All I need to know is I need clear skies for reasons this weekend. I'm not even going to be there, but we need clear
Oh.
skies.
Oh, well, first off, Grump, are you going to the game? I'm wondering.
No, I am
Not
not even in the state. So
yeah. I thought maybe you would travel, but why would you? Team vibes on high, but because I was gonna say if you're going to the game, it's gonna be very nice weather, and now I guess Bobby needs it to be nice weather, so it will be. It will be nice weather.
so
Actually,
you're not going to the game either. You're just holding your passport in your hand.
yeah, I just found it right there, and I'm holding it. I don't know why,
Okay.
but
You should really put that in a secure place because you don't want to lose that.
well, I mean, I left it out since I got back from Ireland. I know where it
Okay.
is.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Put it like passport is one of those. You need to have a drawer in your house where it's like, I need to put this. I put important things in here and I take them out when I need it, like, title to your vehicle, stuff like that. It's just like, this is the drawer for all that.
I literally record myself putting my passport in my backpack every time before I left the hotel. But that's besides the point. Lovely weather Sunday. Lovely weather. I guess we have to do the weather before the games now because that was brought up last week. But it's supposed to be clear. Sunny skies, 56 degrees. A nice fall day. Finally, it feels like. Felt like that hasn't happened in a while. But it's going to be clear. Maybe a passing cloud, but nothing to interfere with why ever you would need it to be lovely weather. And wind wouldn't be a problem either. You might get a gust above 10, but other than that, supposed to be a very lovely day in East Rutherford.
Good.
So
good.
so fans need to bring sunglasses then, is what you're saying.
Yes, you actually will need sunglasses. 56, I guess that's up to your interpretation. I find that you can still wear short sleeves. That's still me. 56 is short sleeve weather. Maybe some people are a little weaker than that, but it's gonna be great weather. Great weather nonetheless.
Dude, we're starting to get our first little cool streak in Florida. I walked out this morning and I was like, oh, that's nice little cool. I think tomorrow we have a low of 55. Woo.
I'm hoping this is the last of the heat. It was 87 today. I'm hoping we put that behind us. I would like a little bit cooler.
Yeah, I like that first bit of cool weather, and then I'm like, it's really cold, and I don't like that. I know it's like ironic coming from me, but I think the hurricane had a little bit to do with that.
Oh,
Uh,
true.
Hurricane Melissa. All right, what do we got? What do we got for trivia this week, Danny?
This one was actually inspired by my immaculate grid today because a player's name popped up and I was like, huh, I wonder. I was thinking about this player for all day today. So we're gonna flash it back to 2017. Not the best year, very bad year. Kind of injury wise. We lost Odell that year. We lost a lot of people. Brandon Marshall. We thought he was supposed to be the future. But in that game, Giants unfortunately took the L to CJ Beathard and the 49ers, but they were able to pick him off one time. Uno times. So of the New York Giants in 2017, can you name me the Giant that intercepted CJ Beathard? I found this to be fun.
That's gonna frustrate me. That was the game when what's Marquise Godwin burnt Janoris Jenkins
Yeah, that was
for the touchdown.
that was an emotional one for him. I remember
Yeah.
that one.
Interception.
While you guys think of your answer, this is not the answer, but there was a Deontay Skinner on the team. I learned that today.
Oh yeah, there was. It's always fun. There was actually a Bobby Skinner on the Giants for like a little bit. So anytime people would be like, what have you ever played? And I'll just screenshot that, like, yeah, I actually did play for the Giants, and then they're like, oh, well, you sucked. I think like even part of like if you like do the AI, if you ask AI like who was Bobby Skinner, like I think my friend showed me and it said like you played for the Giants. I'm like, no, you know me for a long time. You know I did not play for the New York Giants. Um,
It's wild to be trusting AI over like a person, like your personal knowledge of a person.
I'm gonna go Andrew Adams, Danny.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, good answer. Was DRC on that team?
Yes.
Yeah, he was still on the team.
I'm gonna go Dante Dion. Was he on that team?
Wasn't DRC might have been suspended this game? Was he suspended for this one?
No, he was playing.
All right, fine. Yeah, I'm going Andrew Adams.
What was your guess, Grump?
I went wild and went Dante Dion, who was like on the team for 30 seconds.
Try to figure out. He might not have been. He did not record his stat this game.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if he was on the team.
Whatever. I don't care. I gave it a shot. I'm trying.
Well, it was a fun one. It was Olivier Vernon. Olivier Vernon picked off CJ Beathard. He was my immaculate grid guest today with the Giants and the Dolphins. Obviously, we all know Olivier. It's Olivier Vernon, 2012 to 2018. Then he got traded to Cleveland in 2019, which I did not realize it was 2019. I thought it was 2018, but 2019 now made sense. That was Kevin Zeitler was brought over in that trade.
Mm-hmm.
I think that worked out well for how long.
Yeah, that was a
Zeitler
great
here.
trade by us.
Wish it worked out better. Wish we won more of him, but it was nice to have a nice guard to rely on there for a little bit.
Friend of the show. All right, let's get into the fantasy draft, where I'm still in first place after a 45-point outing. Danny really got screwed, right? A.J. Brown was inactive, so he had to trade him, and then Cam Scatteroo got injured, if you didn't hear. So he had a bad week with 20 points. He's still second with 39 points out. And then Grump won the week with 48. He's 55 points out. And I put this little note in the notes, guys, that Grump, despite being in last,
Consistently.
his points per game is the third highest ever since we've been doing this. Only to my last year and then Justin's 2020. So he's not having a bad year. He's just in last place. Even though the Giants injuries are making this where it's like, eventually these points are going to fall off a little bit.
We're getting there.
All right. This week is tough too. Danny, you have the first pick. Where are we going?
Well, before we start, first
Can I just write down Christian McCaffrey?
Well, yeah, but I'll just show it. Thursday Night Football is off, so I won't get distracted by the game. Game also sucks, so don't feel like I've missed much this week. But yes, it is Christian McCaffrey. I mean, do I even like bother? Like it's CMC.
You already got taken on.
Like I looked at just like the Giants' first like options. A pit developed in my stomach.
How do you? Yeah, it's just tough.
The pit.
All right, Grump, you have the second pick. I feel like the second pick is kind of obvious too. It's another.
I mean, I guess so. You have it as another 49er. I have it as one.
He hasn't produced, but all right, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going Wan'Dale Robinson. If you were thinking George,
I don't hate it.
Yeah, I'm tempted, but Kittle has been a non-factor, and I think some of that has to do with just their offense in general. So I would rather flip to the one consistent Giant this whole year.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it.
But Wan'Dale hasn't put up a ton the last couple weeks.
I went through this. Like, I think that the passing game is going to be more of a factor in this game than previous weeks. Cam Scatteroo's not on the team for this week, so I think that that's all going to factor, and especially because they're not very good over the middle. I could see him working that stuff. I don't know. Maybe I'm totally wrong, and I'm in last place in fantasy.
I mean, fantasy point wise, 20, 15, and 7 in the last 3 weeks. So it's not 7 was obviously a low point, but you could, especially now with Cam out.
Yeah, Kittle struggled. All right, so I'm going George Kittle with my first pick. Number 2, my big boy. I know he hasn't been getting those numbers. He had a touchdown last week because it was National Tight Ends Day. But I think he's going to build off of that. And then I'm going Kendrick Bourne with my second pick. I mean, the Giants are playing like a week 15 December game at cornerback this week. I mean, again, like when you don't know if it's going to be Jarek Bernard, Converse, Corey Black, or Rico Payton, it's just rough. It's just rough. And then Deontay Banks, your number one. So I'm going Kendrick Bourne with my second pick. So Grump, you have your second pick now.
Yeah, I don't hate that pick at all, man. It's weird because like these outside wide receivers aren't very good for the Niners, but that's the clear weak spot on the defense. So I get it. He was my number 4 on my big board. So I'm gonna go another Giant. Actually, I'm going Theo Johnson. Already kind of previewed this that I think the middle of the field is going to be open for Jackson Dart. You know, despite Theo dropping big passes in big moments, he's been, you know, a consistent target of Jackson Dart for 4 to 6 targets a game at least. So
No Bellinger either.
and with no Bellinger, I think that opens things up more for Theo. So yep, that's where I'm going.
Okay. Wow. I thought we were going to go somewhere else. Danny, you've got back-to-back picks. Also, we eliminated the you have to wait till round 3, round 4 trade rule, just because it's like, you know what? What's the point of that? Like, if you take someone that is inactive and you have to trade them from a first round pick to an UDFA, that's only hurting you. So
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like you're not going to take a wild. I mean, I'm not going to take a wild swing with one of my first 2 picks because you know there's still more picks later where someone could take. So you're still going to be trading out for someone that's not very high on anyone's big board.
Just an unfair advantage for whoever has the 7th pick too, where it's like, all right, well, I get first pick at injured guy that week. So you have back-to-back picks, Danny.
And the guy I traded for, he's not even on the Eagles anymore. Got traded.
Yeah, he literally had 0 catches, and the Eagles got
traded.
Like he got traded twice in 4 days. Once by Danny King, once by the Eagles.
Which one hurt more? I mean, I'm not taking. It's gonna be back-to-back Niners. I mean, I'm taking Jawan Jennings, and then I'm gonna take Ricky Pearsall. I had to double check because when I was on my fantasy thing, I looked for a second and I
don't think he's playing, Danny, but I mean, if you want me to lock it in, you'll lock it in. He did not practice a year.
I misread his injury report thing. That's so take Ricky off the board. I don't want Ricky. I don't want him anyway. Guy's a bum. I'm joking. Man.
You got shot by a bum.
Did you see that stat that someone like tweeted? It was definitely like a rage bait like tweet that was like, does Ricky Pearsall have an injury problem? And it was just like missed 2 games with a knee, and then like last year shot in chest.
Yeah, you didn't know that was a rage bait?
No, I did. I saw people actually get baited by it though.
Grump, you took Theo. Who is this? Who is the other Giant you took?
Wandale.
No, yeah.
Get a whiteboard and put together a big board every week, Danny.
Well, no, I was so set on Ricky Pearsall that I misread his injury report. Screw it. Let's go. I gotta take a Giant. Let's go.
I feel like there's an obvious one you guys are just missing.
Let's go, Darius.
All right, Darius Slayton off the board.
I know the obvious one that I didn't take, but I'm fine with Darius.
All right, Grump, your third pick.
I am torn between 2. I think it's a little bit more close than that, but I'm gonna go with Tyrone Tracy. I'm gonna stick with another Giant.
I mean, he's RB1. I know. A week when we were looking for players, someone we know is going to get touches. He was number 4 on my big board.
Yeah. It feels a little bit different when I have 3 Giants and 3 picks. So
he just has it like.
I mean, it's different. The Giants win.
It's different now, but it's just like the fantasy points just really have. I bet it on big play from Slayton. I feel like they're gonna try and create something with him.
All right, so I'm gonna go with the New York Giant first. A revenge. I love a damn good revenge game. I might lead the league in taking revenge games in fantasy. Ray McLeod.
Oh,
I respect it.
And then I'm going to go Jake Tungus.
Yeah, that's the one I actually think is close. He's been producing.
The Kittle's back.
Kittle played last week. He did nothing.
He had a touchdown last week.
Yeah.
It was the week before he did nothing.
So you're betting on a touchdown basically to lift that score total, right?
I mean, he had a touchdown last week. Now,
Yeah.
one catch for 2 yards.
Yeah, so that's why I was like,
It's basically who would I rather take, Brian Robinson or Thomas Fedoni, or like it's a bad week. Okay, so
no, yeah. I'm not
maybe
judging
George
here.
Kittle gets injured, right? Like that's what I'm betting on. All right, so Grump, your last pick.
Yeah. Shit, this stinks, right?
I'm excited to see who ends up being the last pick because it's just like there's nobody.
So here's the thing. We don't really know the Niners injury report totally, right? So like we don't really know that Ricky Pearsall's not going to play. And I could trade this pick. And since there's a whole bunch of garbage down here, I'm sure that I'm going to get something.
That's smart.
There's a lot around, right? Like, so like Jalen Hyatt could have a game this week. Could also be a healthy scratch. I have no idea. Could be a tooth scratch. Is little Jordan Humphrey something that could be something, because I think the Giants are going to throw a lot more this week? Maybe. But I'm going to go Ricky Pearsall, and I'll trade for whatever's sticking around.
Damn, you smart.
I know. That might be the smartest decision in the history of filming podcasts I've ever seen. I know I'm going to regret that decision being talked out of Pearsall.
I don't know. I don't think he's going to play though. So that's
I don't think he's going to play either. I just think that all the options down here suck. I might as well have a ace in my back pocket that I could play possibly.
or
Maybe that ace is just a joker.
Ricky. I was going to make a joke that I won't make it, but I was going to say Ricky Pearsall hopes it's not a gun in your back pocket.
Yeah.
He lived. It's okay to make jokes about it.
Oh my. That's funny.
All right, so Danny, who's the last pick?
First off, funny enough, Ray McCloud's not even on the ESPN projections. It's hilarious.
Put him on the email though.
No, I know. I'm just saying. It's just funny that he's not even. ESPN's like, I don't even care. Yeah, tough decision. But I'm gonna rock with Unk. I'm gonna go with Devin Singletary.
Okay, that's a safe.
I think there still could be a rotation there. I feel like they like Tyrone, I imagine, but like you have Devin there, might as well balance it out and see who could maybe take the lead with Scattaboo gone.
Yeah,
I think they'll definitely rotate too. Like it's not going to be just Tracy for sure.
Yeah, I would bet, and again, you guys can still trade. If I would bet that maybe the 49ers blow out the Giants and they start running the ball really well, and then Brian Robinson. But
I mean that's my
Singletary is a bet. Singletary is a better bet to get more carries than Brian Robinson. All right. So myself in first place, George Kittle, Kendrick Bourne, Ray McCloud, and Jake Tungus. This reminds people of the 49ers of last year. Actually, no, Kendrick Bourne was there. Danny in second, Christian McCaffrey, Jawan Jennings, Darius Slayton, Devin Singletary, and then Grump, Wan'Dale Robinson, Theo Johnson, Tyrone Tracy, and Ricky Pearsall. But probably won't have Ricky Pearsall when the game starts. All right, it's time for Giant Factors. Danny, you are up first.
I mean, maybe it's lame. I don't know if it's lame. I'm sorry, but I mean, it has to be the former first round pick, Deontay Banks. I mean, maybe it's an audition week for him this week. I don't know if he's on the roster once the trade deadline come and goes, but I mean, we all know he's going to be out there. The spotlight's going to be solely on him. I mean, just maybe inspire some confidence. I ain't looking you to be a world beater this week. Just don't be a liability like you have basically every single time you're on the field. You're going to be out there more than just third downs now, so maybe you have a little more confidence in yourself. I don't know. I want to believe in Deontay Banks. I want to believe in talent we have drafted to this team because I haven't under this leadership until recently with Dart and all them. But, I mean, just give me something, Banks. You're a first-round pick. At least make me feel like we can get some value out of you in some sort of trade, whether it's this year or maybe in the offseason. I don't know. Deontay Banks, don't be the reason we lose this game. That's my one request.
I have a question. Last game where Jalen Hyatt's on the Giants roster, yes or no, Danny?
I say 100. I'm gonna. I'll say yes. I'll say yes. because he's looking for a change of scenery. No, we're looking to unload you. That's not how this works.
They should have done this before, but I'm
Oh,
gonna say no. I don't think there's gonna be any takers.
A part of me doesn't think so either. I feel like maybe if it's not a trade, they might just say, "Hey,
That's what I'm
me."
saying. There could be like, hey, if we don't get something for a trade for you, now we're just moving on and getting you off the roster.
Yeah.
Grump.
What, the Hyatt question?
Yeah, and you could transition to your giant factor after that.
Yeah, I don't think so. It's possible that they just cut him, but they're so thin at wide receiver. It doesn't make sense at this point unless they've got something else lined up, which it doesn't seem like they do. And it doesn't seem like there's going to be any trade takers, right? Because like there were instances where he won deep and he can't catch the ball. So it's not even like, oh, like, we could use a speed guy even if he's not going to do much for us or whatever. It's like, well, he can't catch. So he hasn't produced even when he's gotten open and the ball's been like walked to him. So I don't see a trade really on the horizon at this point in the year. And it would almost be silly to cut him without a backup plan with the wide receivers they have, even though I don't like him. So I don't think so. In terms of giant factor, I think that this has got to be Tyrone Tracy, right? So we walked into this game. Yeah, I see you freaking out over there. You'll live. Tyrone Tracy, we walked into this year, we didn't know what to think of Cam Scatterbo, if he was going to transition. The interior of this offensive line doesn't block very well anyway, so he's going to be the guy who runs over DBs and safeties and maybe at the second level and all that other stuff. Tyrone Tracy was the guy that we were expecting to lunge forward in his progress, and that didn't really happen. Then he got hurt, and lo and behold, Cam Scatterbo really can create something out of nothing. Where Saquon Barkley can't dance his way out of defenders in the backfield, Cam Scatterbo can plow through them and make a -2-yard gain into a 2-yard gain. He can make a 2-yard game into a 5-yard game. That's not Tyrone Tracy's game, right? But he does bring other stuff to the table. He has the quickness to jump in through windows before they close. He is excellent as a receiver out on the outside where he can be used there. This team needs a spark, and they're not going to get the same kind of spark that they got from Cam Scatterbo, but production on the field, breaking tackles and just bursting past people, getting a running game going, working the zone read with Jackson Dart, that's a different kind of jolt that just, okay, all right, we're in rhythm now. We're scoring points on offense. That like I said, with Cam Scatterbo and his physicality permeating throughout the rest of the roster, points on the board and just running past people and just a running game that gets 4 yards a carry, not because he gets hit 2 yards and gets an extra 2, but just because he's able to run past people. That's a different way of getting energy to the rest of the team. So that's got to happen. Tyrone Tracy, you need to hold on to the ball and you need to work that running game, be who you are, be who you were last year and more, be a giant factor.
Yeah, I was gonna pick Tracy for mine. Like, this is a huge 9 games for him, right? It's not just about you're the RB1. Like, you know, one of the things last year was like, I think we always overrated rookie draft class. But I was like, but Tyrone Tracy's a hit, right? Like, I don't feel like I'm being a homer by saying Tyrone Tracy is a hit. These 9 games, Cam Scatterbo will be coming back from destroyed ankle. You need to prove that you're an asset and not just a running back too, because they're going to need someone that's going to be there to share the load with Cam Scatterbo next year. And if you play badly in these next 9 games, then that's not going to be you. So Tyrone Tracy, like, you need to start producing similar to the way you did when you first started and not the last, 13 games that you've played for the Giants. So Tyrone Tracy, big one. I'm going to go Javon Holland. He's coming back from the injury. We need somebody to make a damn play on this defense in the back end. I'm not going to ask any of the corners to do it. I'm not going to ask Tyler Nubin to finally do it. Javon Holland, right? You're going to get man coverage with George Kittle. They love to throw in breakers. You're going to have the responsibility of cutting those off and making a play. You haven't done a ton for the New York Giants since you've joined. You've just been a competent safety. You were what you've been the last 2 years for the Miami Dolphins, right? So be a playmaker. We need playmakers on this back end, and we can't rely on anybody else to be one. This team has 4 interceptions. 1 is by a defensive tackle. Make a damn play, Javon Holland, and be a giant factor. All right, it's time for spread picks. We've all been getting worse. Danny went 2-6 last week. He is still first place at 32-32. Grump is second after 4-4. He's 29-35, and myself and the listeners are 28-36 after 3 and 5 weeks. Thursday Night Football, the listeners are represented by Jonathan Skinner, the only patron who's named Skinner who's not related to me. He's going Ravens minus 7.5. I'm going Dolphins. They surprised on Thursday Night Football earlier in the year when we all picked against them. So it's Thursday Night Football. I'm getting weird. Give me Dolphins plus 7.5. Grump, what do you got?
I'm going Ravens. Yeah, I don't know. I think the Ravens are onto something. Thursday Night Football is always weird, so Ravens.
Danny?
Dolphins.
What's the score right now? I don't have the game on.
It's 7-3. 7-3 Ravens.
I got all you guys' answers before this, so we couldn't change it based on the game. Am I missing a game on this writing down thing? What the heck is going on?
Comments, get on them.
Vikings at Lions. Vikings at Lions minus 8.5. Huge spread. JJ McCarthy returning. What do you got in this one, Danny?
I made the mistake of picking the points last week with the Titans. I won't be doing that this week. Give me the Lions. I think they'll make JJ McCarthy's life hell, especially since seemingly Kevin O'Connell rather walk out a injured Carson Wentz more than the player they drafted a year ago.
So what did you say? I was looking up the game that I missed on the rundown.
Lions.
Grump?
Yeah, I agree with Danny. 8.5 points is crazy, but I'm going Lions. I don't know what to think of the Vikings anymore.
Yeah, that's the thing is I just don't trust them. I'm gonna go Lions as well. We got Colts at Steelers plus 3. You know, you ride the Steelers and then they start doing what they do every year. And then when you expect them to start losing, they come back. But I'm always gonna be a week or two late on the Steelers, which is gonna make me bad. But I'm gonna go Colts minus 3. Listeners agree. Danny, do you agree?
Yeah, I went against Daniel Jones last week. Not doing that one again. Hilarious statement to say in the year 2025.
Grump?
I'm the same. I'm going Colts for the shoe.
Let's show him who the real. What is he gonna say this week? Oh, he's gonna say like, "Let's steal a victory."
Oh, there it is. You just gave it to him.
They probably have already done that one. Falcons at Patriots minus 5.5. The easiest schedule in the NFL continues, and Drake May's MVP run continues. Patriots minus 5.5. Listeners agree. Grump, do you agree?
Patriots, man. I think that Vrabel's gonna wreck Michael Penix, and Drake May's just gonna keep on keeping on.
That's what I think too. I think it's gonna be a really bad Penix game. Danny?
A weird year for the Falcons. Kind of crushed by the Dolphins last week. I'll also ride Drake May minus 5.5.
A lot of clean sweeps. The last time this happened, it was bad news, guys. All right, Broncos at Texans minus 1.5. Broncos coming off of a win against the Cowboys. Texans coming a win off the 49ers. What do you got in this one, Danny?
CJ Stroud spoke to TMZ Sports this week, so because of that, I will rock with the Texans.
What do you say?
I did interview him. One of my coworkers did. He promoted. I guess he awarded a fan a house or something, or like a home makeover, which is pretty cool. And then but you always love when you can get an active player.
Did you guys ever watch Extreme Makeover Home Edition?
Yeah.
Love that show.
What
it's just
show?
it really was great. My favorite was the kid was very shy, and they're trying to figure out what he likes to make his room about that. And he's holding like a Lion King toy. You're like, "You like Lion King?" And he's like, "Yeah, I guess." And then they just made his entire room Lion King, not just off of a hunch. Has like the cliff and everything in there. Could you imagine like when you're 8 and it's like, or like when you turn like 12 and it's like, yeah, my room is like the actual set of Lion King. I'm definitely not weird.
Yeah, bring a girl home to that.
Yeah, and that's what I was wondering. What are you gonna do when you bring a girl over? And she's like, "What the hell is this?"
Yeah, your parents.
Call me Mufasa, bitch.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Throw me over the
Jeez, dude.
Throw me over the cliff.
Yeah, also as like a young kid, like that cliff scene, like I grew up, that's like my favorite Disney movie if I were to give a shit, but like that could definitely trigger some PTSD. That's a pretty traumatizing scene for a cartoon.
Yeah, we know how you like to talk. And um,
Sorry, man.
the other show. Did you guys ever watch Wife Swap?
No, I didn't.
Oh, dude, it was the funniest ever. It's
Was
so
it
funny. Like
the God Warrior was Wife Swap, wasn't it?
the God Warrior. I'm not sure.
That's like a viral YouTube thing where like the lady was just like, she's not Christian or whatever. She like lost
It's
her.
funny. Like it's like obviously they put them up to a little bit as reality TV, but like they do a whole show based off of like trying out different things in a whole new fan. They're just all like, I ain't changing shit. It's like, well, why did you sign up for a Wife Swap? Um, we always, as kids, wanted to be on Wife Swap just so we could be the baddest kids in the world for a week and be on TV being really bad. We never signed up for it. We were probably a little too normal for Wife Swap. Uh, I got Broncos plus 1.5. I'm not buying into the Texans. Their offensive line is terrible, and the 49ers pass rush is terrible, so they got a little bit of a surprise win. The Broncos pass rush outside of Nick Bonito is really good. So I'm going Broncos plus 1.5. What do you got, Crump?
I'm actually gonna go Texans. I agree with everything you're saying, but Pat Surtain is not gonna play in this game. I think that might be something. I don't know.
That could
It's
be
a small
something.
point spread.
Seahawks at Commanders plus 3. I'm gonna go Seahawks. Listeners, Seahawks. Danny, what do you got?
Did you skip over a game?
Yes.
I did. I'm putting that at the end. That's the game that I forgot.
Oh, nah.
It's the best team of the week anyway, so it's at the end.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Is Jaden Daniels back this week? That determines a good amount of what I'm about to say here. Actually, he's a full participant. Yeah, I'm gonna rock with yeah, give me the Commanders. Full participant. I think if he's back, I think and they're rocking those sick ass uniforms this week. Make them permanent. So give me the Commanders.
Grump.
The Commanders have sick uniforms.
Well, they're throwing it back to like how they used to look without the very offensive logo.
Gotcha. I thought you meant the Seahawks because the Seahawks throwbacks are great.
Oh no, they're great too. They're great too.
I'm gonna go Seahawks. I mean I don't care that Jaden Daniels is back. I don't think Laramie Tunsil is playing.
Just shit on my no, yeah.
Cardinals at Cowboys minus 2.5. There is some like smoke that Kyler might be getting benched in Arizona. Like him and Jacoby Brissett split like workout reps with the first like the number 1 group and open portion to media. And the Cardinals reporters like Kyler Murray was supposed to speak today, and then the Cardinals said canceled it and said that they would have another quarterback available later, or would have a quarterback available later in the week. There's a little bit of smoke that Kyler might be getting benched for Jacoby Brissett, which is crazy. But as bad as the Cowboys defense is, their offense is great. I'm going to go Cowboys minus 2.5.
I think I read they're at least claiming he has a foot injury is what they're saying.
I mean,
whether you believe it or not, that's one thing.
Yeah, there's just weird smoke around it. So
it is weird.
I did see a good tweet today. It's like the best 3 offenses in the NFL are the Colts, the Cowboys, and then whoever's playing the Cowboys. Who do you got, Crump?
I don't know, man. That just threw me off. But you know what? Nevertheless, you're right. The Cowboys offense is really good. I'm gonna go Cowboys.
Yeah, I just think they can outscore the Cardinals. What do you
This
got?
is gonna be the game where Brissett throws for like 450 yards.
I don't think he's even capable of that with his play style, though. Like he could not have a single incompletion and not throw for 400 yards.
Cowboys, for the reasons listed, their offense is sick. Their defense sucks, but I think their offense can outweigh that, especially when they have possibly a backup.
All right, it's game of the week, even though it's not really game of the week anymore because it's been every year for the last 5 years where Bills win in the regular season, Chiefs win in the postseason. So even if the Bills win, we roll our eyes at it. We got Chiefs at Bills plus 1.5. And you know what? For that reason, I'm going Chiefs. I think the Chiefs
Oh.
get a regular season one. And they win by at least 2 points and cover the spread. So I got the Chiefs. Danny, who do you got?
Maybe you're predicting maybe a Bills playoff win. I'm circling the wagons. I'm gonna say history repeats itself. I know the Chiefs have been on the up as of late, so seemingly the dynasty is back on. But I trust the Bills more in the regular season. I would bet my life savings they lose in the postseason to the Chiefs again.
Ollie Gordon's like screaming at somebody right now. I'm watching Thursday Night Football. We interviewed him. Great guy. Grump, who do you got?
It feels like you're picking the Chiefs just to buck history
Yep.
and not based on like any sort of analysis.
Well, I'll say this: the Bills' run defense is terrible. Terrible. It's worse than the Giants.
Isaiah Pacheco's not even playing.
I understand that, but like I think like the Chiefs, I think are going to pull one out.
I will say one thing is hilarious. I'm looking at the injury report right now, and for Marquise Brown, he's listed as a full participant. On Wednesday, he's listed as did not participate. So I was wondering what the injury was, and the injury listed is Hollywood Brown. I don't. I'm gonna go Bills. I'm gonna go Bills. You almost convinced me. I don't know. I'm just gonna stick with what I feel is strong.
Well, here's the thing: is this game has meant a lot for the Bills in the regular season every year, and I feel like because of the way it's went every single year, it doesn't, right? Where they're not going to go and be like this one meet, like it's going to be the eye rolls if they win. Like, all right, we'll see you in the playoffs.
Yeah, pretty much.
So it's just weird, mental gymnastics I'm doing. This is what happens when you're down. You're 8 games under 500. You're just like you're just trying to find ways to get back to 500.
I cannot read the board this year. The board is all over the place.
All right, we got San Francisco 49ers at New York Giants Sunday, 1 o'clock at MetLife Stadium. Danny, what is your score prediction?
It feels unfortunate, but like after Scadaboo went down, the vibes got sucked out. I feel like I was watching the Giants for fun. Now I feel like I'm watching it strictly for business purposes. I I mean, I hate being that guy. Like, I think I predicted the Giants to lose the last, what, 3 weeks, 2 weeks, whatever it is. Either way, I'm picking the Giants to lose again. I just don't got faith. I don't. Defense stinks already. It's banged up, and then it stinks already. I'm hoping Dexter Lawrence has a big game to say F you to Carl Banks, and so he could shut up from his little booth. Uh, I'm going to say 49ers win 34, Giants score 10.
Trump.
Boy, that would be pretty terrible if the Giants gave up that many points to this offense. You know, I am often more optimistic than I need to be, but this might be one of the last times I can legitimately say the Giants have a shot to win. The Niners are just so hurt, and they're not good in the areas where they should be, like like a roster strength. Jackson Dart does really well against, you know, the blitz, and that's kind of the only way I could see them generating any sort of pressure. On the flip side, their offensive line stinks, and our pass rush has been like the one consistent thing that we can kind of hang our hat on. And especially if Mac Jones is playing, I don't think it's going to be easy sledding, though. I think the Giants win this one something like 26-23, and it's got us all chewing our fingernails down to the bone.
The Giants, next 5 games before they get a bye week. You got the 49ers, the Bears, the Packers, the Lions, and then the Patriots on Monday Night Football, right? Those are all teams with winning records. All teams that the Giants will be not be favored against. Do something, man. Like it's 2-6 again, right? They're 2-6 again. Make it 3-7, right? That hasn't been the norm. Is to take 2-6 and make it 3-7 3-6. Just made this a 2-game thing. Legacy games, show out. Show out. Give your home crowd. Jackson Dart is undefeated at home. Keep it that way. Like, let's make that a thing. Is that when you go to MetLife Stadium to watch Jackson Dart, you're going to watch a win. And Giants 77, 49ers 0. We'll see you Sunday. Make sure to look in the skies with some positivity. We'll see you then. Until then, let's go Big Blue.